Hi everyone, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Rochelle. My practicum is with the Crime Victim Advocate Program, or CVA for short. A little about what we do is we deal with assisting victims of relationship violence. So what we'll do is first thing in the morning, we'll come in, check the jail roster, and see if there were any assaults, and if there were, we find out who the victim was, and we'll contact them either by phone or by sending out a letter stating what our services are and what we can offer, and that ranges anywhere from crisis counseling to filling out an order of protection, or just helping them figure out how the court process works. So how it was established in 1985, what kind of led up to that was in the 60s, the rape and battered women's movements, it started to gain more attention. It drew attention to the fact that there really were no services for victims of rape or domestic violence. So by the 70s, there were shelters that were forming, and then the government started taking notice and actually started passing laws to assist victims, such as the Victims of Crime Act in 1984. And this act takes criminal fees that criminals had to pay, and puts it into a fund, and some of that fund goes to victim compensation, and another part of it goes towards assistance programs such as the CVA, and that is actually who we are funded through. It's VOCA. And how it got started was the county commissioner at the time in 1985 went to one of the first national conferences on providing services to victims, and she brought back the information and the first VOCA application and filled it out, and that is how we got started. And it's kind of changed. At first it started out and there was just one part-time victim advocate, and then now there's a few some part-time. There's 9 women altogether that work in the office that I have gathered, and I don't know who's part-time and who's not, but it has grown quite a bit. The population that we get are it's mostly women, but there are men too, since we deal with, assault between family members, and it's not just men abusing women, and of course there's some women that abuse men. Anyways, there's 2 sides. There's a civil and a criminal side. The civil side deals with legal matters between 2 people, and an example of that is filling out orders of protection, and that's usually what they do, is they assist people who want to do that. And then the criminal side is where I'm doing most of my shadowing. My practicum is mostly on the criminal side, and that deals with the city or state versus a defendant, and most of that is stalking cases, or PFMAs, which are partner and family member assault, or SIWOCs, which are sexual intercourse without consent. It, like I said, is mostly women, but what's interesting is that there's really no certain socioeconomic class or anything. It's educated professional women, clear to homeless women with addictions, which kind of proves that domestic violence can happen in any walk of life, really. Some community factors that enrich are, I've really liked how the police department and the attorney's office really work with the CVA. The police will offer services. They will inform the victim about our services. Our attorneys are really good at getting back to us with information about court dates and all of that, because that's part of what we do, is we let victims know about such things. So that's been really amazing to see. And then another big resource for us is the YWCA. I think we work pretty closely with them. So we are able to refer women to them who need their services, such as shelter or housing assistance. Some of the harmful factors are that temporary orders of protection are just pieces of paper. I mean, if an abuser is crazy enough, he will disregard that and just and still can be harmful to the woman. Also, I've noticed like stalking cases are pretty much impossible to prove, which is kind of scary. And also they tend to be the most lethal, and I'm not really sure how that can change, because it is, reasonably hard to prove a stalking case, but just noticed that's been harmful for some women. Also, one of the biggest things that I've just learned, so if you do not show up for an order of protection arraignment, but the defendant does, the case will be dismissed. And it used to be that you could just go in and reapply for a TOP, but now you cannot use the same information you used when you applied for the first temporary order of protection, which is scary, because then you basically have to wait until the abuser does something else to hurt you in order to have new information to provide to them. And I think that is very harmful, and I'm not sure why that rule or law changed, but I don't think it was a very good one. But yes, it's been a huge learning experience, very exciting, and I'm excited to learn a lot more. I'm excited to have more one-on-one time with clients. I don't think I've been able to see that much, but it is very exciting, and that's a little bit about my practicum. Okay.